I want to touch base with those a little bit. As Nathan said, 2 of them are Marist and 2 of them aren't. And I'll just say a little bit about each of those and what they do and who they are. So the first one is Lavala, which is outside of Phnom Penh in Cambodia. And some of you are familiar with this. Some of you are very familiar with this. Lavala is it's a residential school for about 100 primary school students, although they're not primary aged. All of the children have a disability and all of the teachers have a disability. It's a school that's been operating now since about 1989, I think it is, so it's been going for a fair while. Started by Brother Terry Heinrich, who was a former headmaster here. And the school has a very attractive campus. It has a hydrotherapy pool located in the middle of it. It's got an outdoor dining area. It's got a great volleyball, basketball court that I'll show you in a minute as well. And it's got 100 fairly happy kids there. Now the kids, because they have a disability, there is no accommodation for them within the Cambodian education system. And so their first experience of school might be when they go there to Lavala at the age of 11 or 12. And the reason that it's that age is because they have to be able to look after themselves to be there. So that while there are staff there during the day, there are carers at night, but the kids have to be able to look after themselves. And they do look after themselves and each other very well. So they do 6 years of primary education in 3 years. So, and they might be from the age of 11 to 14. And then if they continue with their education, there is another facility close by, which is called Villa Maria, and it's a Marist Fathers project. And it is a residential accommodation for high school students to go to a local high school. So it's not a school, whereas Lavala is a school. This is accommodation, about 30 there, high demand for it, and they go to the local high schools, and that's also run by the Marist, although it's a Marist Fathers project and fairly heavily supported by them. The kids at Lavala, normal classroom, looks like a normal classroom, normal uniform. Interestingly, there is among the facilities there's a sewing room. And in the sewing room, the lady who was there works with the kids, but she makes all the uniforms and she embroiders all the kids' names onto the uniform. So that first day that they get their uniform is a very special occasion for them, and they proudly wear that. That's just a classroom, just looking like a normal classroom, and talking with the kids. Very, very happy, engaging kids, as you would see anywhere. We had one of our students, Liam Highmore, do 3 months there last year. Nick is doing 3 months there soon? End of June. End of June, for how long? 2 months. 2 months. So we've had a good connection with that. We haven't gone for an immersion there because there are quite a number of schools that do that already. So as well as the educational facilities provided there is medical facilities provided. When I was there was a number of physios who were employed there, and that's avoid doing work out on a bike. There was a young Australian volunteer, a doctor from Brisbane, and she was there for about, I think she'd given up 3 months to be there. She was doing medical assessments on the kids, so she was providing information. So that was again a bonus there. So the reliance on volunteers and support is great. These are some shots of some of the students. I was telling the boys today, the Year 9 boys, I've told this story a couple of times. This fellow here, Poe, was born with walking on the top of his feet. So he walked on the top of his feet. And there's a number of kids there who did that as well. So he was fortunate in that there was another volunteering group, and just another example, there was a boat offshore with a number of surgeons on it, and they were doing operations. And he was fortunate to have the operation on his feet so that he is now able to, or he's going through a rehabilitation process to walk on the sole of his feet. And when I saw him, he was actually running across the library at lunchtime. He'd thrown down his crutches, and he was very proud of himself because he got from one side of the library to the other. And he's got that sort of process to go ahead. I'll just finish up with this one here. This is a game of volleyball that was being played, earnestly being played. You can see this little fella here involved in that game of volleyball. It's the end of lunch. They'd had lunch outside in a communal dining room, and then the kids were playing volleyball, and there's a basketball there as well. So what Marist Solidarity and the Marist Fathers have provided here is a facility for students with a disability where the government does not provide that facility, and that's where the support goes there. That's that one. That's number one. The second place that I went to is a place called Wok Oi. Wok Oi is west of Hanoi. It's about 40 kilometres out of Hanoi. Hanoi is a fairly developed city. This is in Vietnam. Wok Oi is a less developed city. And what the brothers are doing there is they have an English language school. And after being in Cambodia and it all making sense to me why we're providing this facility, I had to start thinking, why are we doing an English language school in an isolated town in Vietnam? And then seeing the brothers in action gave me the understanding, as Francis said himself, that it's the passing on of faith, and it's made by contact from one person to another. And I think it's about presence. If they are there, about presence. And it's this project is actually run from Rome, but currently at Wok Oi there are 3 brothers: an Australian brother, a Spanish brother, and this fellow Wig, who is the first Vietnamese brother. Now, he is a Vietnamese brother because when this fellow was working somewhere else a few years ago, he connected with him and he's become a brother from the presence. Now, Vietnam is a communist country. It tolerates Christianity and Catholicism. There are a number of priests and Catholics who have been charged and imprisoned because they stand up for democracy or they challenge the government. So what happens here is they cannot evangelise. So they can't do that. They can be present, but evangelisation is not on. They are closely watched, and they would be reported on if they were doing that. So their presence there at the moment, they have 200 young people, boys and girls, attending their English language classes each week. And so that's out of school time, and they seek volunteers as well. They've had a number of Australians who have spent 2 or 3 months there, both from post-school age and mature age. And that is just about attending that school. They've also got permission to go into the schools to assist English language teaching in the school. So it's a presence thing there once again. Vietnamese teaching of English is significant in the schools. It's one of the main subjects, but they don't or can't teach conversation. They can teach the grammar and the punctuation, and to have a look at some of the texts, they're just unbelievable, some of the things that are in there, because they're just so unrealistic. So what they can do is the conversational side of it. There's English-speaking people who can offer that. So that's another example of people reaching out. And this fella here has been, I think he's been possibly in Vietnam for 10 years or so, and it's taken all of that time to get to the stage where he's at today. And I saw it 2 years ago, and at that stage he was looking for a Vietnamese sponsor, he was looking for premises, he was looking for accommodation, but he's just persisted, and now he's got it to a stage today where he's quite happy with it. This town is quite primitive, and one of the things about this town which is quite confronting is that there's the Vietnamese, some Vietnamese eat dog, and it's less and less and less throughout the country. But in this town, it is openly displayed in the markets, the carcasses of dogs as you drive down the street. Now, I'll tell that story, that it's confronting, and I'm not being judgmental, but just to give you some idea of the developmental stage of the area that they're in. My wife says to me she'd love to go there and work for 3 months, and I just sort of think I'm not too sure if I could do that, because it's fairly isolated. There's very few Westerners in the place, but they've chosen to go to a place where they'll make their difference through this. Okay, story number 3. That's just some of the facilities. So that's English books that they've got there. I asked them what they needed, and they said, we need volunteers, we need books, we need equipment, and that's what they're doing to do their way of service. Number 3, this is not a Marist project. This is Children's Hope in Action, which is a charity that operates in Hoi An in central Vietnam. And amongst their health and education facilities, they run the Hoi An Children's Home. Now, the Hoi An Children's Home has 30 students who come from very, very poor backgrounds. They may come from an isolated town, or they may live in Hoi An itself, but their parents are very poor. What the Children's Home offers is a full accommodation. Education is not free in Vietnam, so they pay for the education. They pay for a bicycle for the kids so they can go to school, and they pay for their uniforms. And in Vietnam, interestingly enough, they pay for extra classes, because the teachers are very poorly paid in Vietnam, very poorly paid, like in Australia. And the teachers teach extra classes each night. So these kids go to school all day, but the teachers withhold information that is critical to the examination. So the kids go to classes at night and pay to go to the classes at night so the teachers can earn an income. And it's not unusual for a teacher to have a room in their house with their class set up, and they'd have 15 kids who'd come in at night time for an hour or so, and they pay a little bit each to go to that lesson so they get the information for the test the next day. So the Children's Home pays for all of that. Like the La Valle and Wakoi, totally funded, no government funding whatsoever, and so totally funded by donations and volunteers. They have a Vietnamese staff, a small Vietnamese staff, but basically the kids look after themselves as well. I was talking with Max beforehand, and we talked about the cycle of poverty, although he didn't put it in these words. Where you have, that's very difficult to see, where you have poorly educated adults, we can have this cycle where we have a low income, this child poverty. If that can lead to poor educational attainment and poor health outcomes, then we've got that cycle of poverty. So what La Valle does, what Villa Maria does, and what Hoi An Children's Home does is try to break that cycle so that it has an effect not only on the individuals themselves but on their families. And that's, Max will talk a little bit about that from his experience as well. This is Hugh. Hugh is 15, 7 in his family. He lives in a fairly remote area across the river and down in a village of his home. He would not be having an education as the 7th and youngest, except he applied to get in the children's home, and he now lives there and gets all the things that go with it. He's not a brilliant student, but he's a conscientious student, and he's doing okay now. 2 years later, he's in grade 10, and he'll get through to grade 12, which will make an impact on him and his family and his next generation. These girls here that I worked with, they are training as teachers. They come from Canberra University, and they just wanted to speak English. So that's all I could do, just sit and speak English with them and have conversations with them. And then this is one of the girls, she's a year 11 girl, she just wanted to develop her English as well, so I just sat and spent time with them. No particular skills, When I was there the other time, I'd play volleyball with the kids, and I'd have conversations with them and things like that. And I wasn't good at it, but it didn't matter. It was just being there and having the opportunity. Okay, final story. And I just want to talk about the Hoi An blind massage. When we went to Hoi An in 2013, we heard about this group of blind people who had left the security of an institution and decided that they were going to set up their own massage centre. Now, I said to the kids today, blind people, if you close your eyes, you can still massage. And so it's something, there's a number of blind massage centres throughout Vietnam, and they were modelling it on that. So they are trained. It's a very rough massage. I had one recently. It is so rough. You've got to say, go easy, go easy. It's when I say it's rough, it's hard. It's not gentle like a nice massage. Anyway, these people, we found out about these people. 4 of them, a husband and wife, just happened to be named 1 and 2. And 2 others who were there, and they set up this blind massage. However, this is their new premises. However, they had no money. They had some massage tables, and that's about it. And they didn't know how bad it looked. So we went and had a look at it, and we thought, we need to develop this. We need to do something with this. So we did, before crowdfunding existed, I think, we just called on our friends at the time and said, can you give us some money to support this place? We got $2,500 in about a week, and so what we did, we went from scratch. We painted the place, we cleaned it up, we put lanterns outside it, we got curtains, we made curtains, and we tidied the whole place up. We did the advertising, marketing, created brochures, got a tagline, did like our tagline actually, except the Vietnamese translate things differently. Ours is enjoy a massage, make a difference. When they do it, it's enjoy massage makes difference. Well, I suppose it does. So what 2 years later, we went back there to see what's happened. This is 1 and 2, his wife. They've got a little baby actually. They've got a 3-year-old as well, and that's 2 of the other masseurs there. So we even got uniforms. All right. So we went back 2 years later. They're in new premises. They have got all of the stuff from the other premises, all the stuff we bought's been brought over. They've now got they've got an English-speaking person here who can assist with customers. They're doing something like 100 massages a day at the moment, and so they're a viable business. It's only $5 for a massage, but that's a viable business for that. So just through an injection of funding 2 years ago, they have got a business that's up and going. So my connection with them today is just to go back and see them, see how they're going, see what they need, and have a massage, which I say, I can still feel that. And that's 2 there. So that's my 4 stories about making a difference and connection and different examples of service.
Thank you very much, Chris. So I graduated at the end of last year, and I jumped straight on board going on one of these experiences through the Marist Volunteers Australia, which is run by the Marist Solidarity, and they do many opportunities all around the world. And I chose to head on to Sri Lanka because in year 11, 2013, I went across on the immersion with Mr. Morrissey and Mrs. Hodge, and it's a place that I really wanted to. It's a place that I really wanted to return to because I like the area, I like the people, and I like the idea of the teaching, the challenge of the teaching over there. So I was really looking forward to getting back there, and so I did. So I went to Calpidia, which is small. No, that's not a very good map. Okay, so it's a very small little peninsula off here, and it's on the very tip of the peninsula. It's a very small village. First time we went, it was a very small, village is the best way to describe it. But being back since then, it's growing quite rapidly. It's the government's trying to turn it into like the world's greatest tourist attraction. It's got all the wind for the world's best kite surfing, so they're trying to jump on board that. They're trying to take casinos, resorts. There's even blueprints for an underwater theme park. So Sri Lanka's trying to make that their money pot, I guess. So in the meantime, they're pumping a lot of money into Calpedia itself. So going back again, it was a massively different place, and I could not recognise it. It was quite scary because I didn't know it off the back of my hand first time around. So yeah, put in the main roads, built up the buildings, which I thought was very good for the town. But speaking to a lot of the people there, the government was being quite pushy and aggressive, kicking out people to take over land, to build their resorts. So there's a lot of stories of the armies coming in and kind of just bullying people out of the area. So yeah, a lot of the locals from the area were a little bit more sceptical about the whole idea of turning that into a big money-making industry. So the town itself is very much a fishing village. Major majority of the people there are fishing people. So they are the poorest of the poor. They probably make the most money out of all the people there, but the fees of registration, insurance, petrol for boats, new nets and all that stuff, they give just about all of it back. So these families are looking at about $1,000 equivalent a year to maintain their family. So when it comes to the education, families who have more kids, normally it's only, they kind of pinpoint one kid that they see as a smart kid in the family, and that one gets the extra opportunities to go on and potentially get a better education elsewhere. And so it's only the families that can really scrape together that money. They pick one child who gets the opportunity. So when I got there about 2 days after they elected a brand new president. And there's a lot of conflict there between Tamils and the Sinhala, the two main ethnicities of the country. And this new president is a Tamil, which is brand new territory for Sri Lanka. So I was, again, a little bit concerned about the overall how the public would take this new president, and there were mixed reviews. I think there was people not giving him a chance, but while I was there I was able to see that he was bringing around change. He had things that listed 100 points that he promised before the election, and he's going about bringing them all in. While I was there, petrol went from about $1.80 a litre down to 90 cents. So he's making lots of changes to try and make the everyday life a lot better for everyone there. So I saw over those 2-3 months I was there the impact firsthand that I was having with this new president. The previous president, I'll just get on to the education situation. The previous president was made a few money-saving cuts which really affected rural areas. In the area, there were lots of the smaller schools got cut down because his argument was they can go to the bigger schools in the area. A lot of the kids have been travelling 10 k's a day, which they couldn't do. So a lot of kids, you have 8-year-olds, just dropping out of school. And then the kids who could make it to the bigger schools, you got schools that are overcrowded. So where I was, that's a few pictures of Calpedia, I'll get on to where I was. So the Marist brothers set up in Sri Lanka. Back in 2006, they had a couple of brothers go out and they explored Sri Lanka to see where it would be best to put a place to help kids get a better education. And one of the people, Brother Lau, selected the Calpedia area, and when they first set up the base it was to provide extra teaching staff to the local school there. And eventually got to the point where that school was able to pick up enough to have enough staff. So he went away and started this secondary after-school school, because a lot of the kids in Calpedia are very kind of school. The education there gets very rough. School, the situation is very very basic. They might get the 6 periods they have a day. They might be lucky if 2 teachers actually show up. So they have a lot of free time sitting around at their desk doing nothing. So Brother Lau saw this and he decided to come back to his little base, and they expanded that, buying neighbouring properties, and they put in all sorts of classrooms and schools there to kind of give that education to the kids. So you have children who just give up on school. They accept the whole cycle of poverty. You got parents who are uneducated, who are going through school. School wasn't a thing, so you got it's all about the mentality. Children not really giving school a go. So he set up this place here to give these children in the region the opportunity to succeed. And I'll quote him as saying, if one child from that region made it to university, it would be reason for the whole village to celebrate. So you're looking at people from only the cities being able to make it to university. So there's a few children who now are getting to the age where they're allowed to go to the major cities, and with the education that they're offering, they're able to potentially chase down that university dream that they have. So my particular role at the school was teaching classes all throughout the day and the evening. The way that they set up their grade structure is a bit confusing, but while there are guys waiting to go from grade 11 to grade 12, there's about a 3-4 month period off where they don't do anything, waiting to go back to school, waiting for their big test results from the previous year to allow them to go. So I was teaching them in the mornings English, I was all morning from about 9 till midday. Then I'll be having lunch and I'll be straight back into it with a few of the older boys who are getting ready for their year 11 end of year exams to be allowed to go on to year 12 and 13 and potentially university. So I was, so they were my main two groups, but as well as that in between I was getting a lot of younger children who probably just wanted the excitement of having a foreigner in the classroom. But I ended up taking up a lot of extra classes because I had younger kids kind of leaking into my rooms trying to get on board the teaching. So I split it other times throughout the day to have classes, and they all very enthusiastically turned up for that. So, back to that minute. So the sorry. Yeah, so I taught the classes at 4:30 in the afternoon, so it was a pretty full-on day of teaching, and someone who's been interested in teaching and potentially seeing that after school is something that really interested me. The children, as Mr. Marist was saying, it was a lot more about the conversation side of it too. Brother Lau was doing a pretty tremendous job with the way he was teaching them English, but having that foreigner who could teach them speak fluent English with them, it definitely improved them. And when I ran through all the textbooks, because I had no idea what I was doing when I first got there, ran through all the textbooks in the first few weeks, and I was getting pretty desperate, and I was starting to stress out. So I started in everyday activities with the kids. When you notice that those little confusions or those little things that are just not understanding, like the structure of their language slowly kind of influencing the way that they think the English language works, I started focusing classes on that. And yeah, you started to see over the time I was there a bit of an improvement in the language as well, so that was always very promising. So yeah, I was teaching all day, and then the evenings was pretty much cricket or volleyball every single day. Yeah, it's quite a bit of practice over there for the older, well, everybody really, to come together and play cricket wherever there is a field big enough to play cricket. So there's a lot of that in the evenings. I definitely also had a lot of time to travel the country of Sri Lanka as well, which was really cool, because I got to go up to Jaffna at one point, which is the war-torn central point of the civil war that they've had going on there for the 20 years. So seeing buildings with bullet holes through them, blown to pieces, right in the middle of a city that's growing back. You had a big shopping centre, and you'd walk out into a car dealership that had been shut down, and everything's got bullet holes through it, and there's a big chunk taking out of a sign from some artillery. It was definitely an eye-opener, and especially driving around and seeing the caution landmine fields on the side of the road was an experience. I got to go to a lot of the religious areas as well. To Kandy in the central of Sri Lanka, which is a very religious spot. Got to go to a lot of the mosques there during public holidays and stuff. So I got a lot of experiences to travel, which was awesome. We take the road trips most weekends away. So as well as the teaching at the school, I've was able to travel on weekends. I'm losing what I'm talking about here a bit. But I wanted to say, like, the experience for me was absolutely tremendous, and I know there are people considering it, or people who are going. And I definitely recommend it to everybody, whether you are young, straight out of school, or if you you're older, you want to take a break, or even if you're retired. It's an awesome chance to give back. As I said, plenty of places around the world to return to and visit. It was a very easy setup, very good people who were able to organise it for me. And for me, going to your typical places around the world, like the Eiffel Tower and seeing all that sort of stuff, wasn't what I was after. I was after a proper full-on cultural immersion, and that's basically what it gave me. You know, the immersion I did in Year 11 was seeing the area, and it was very touristy. While living there for 3 months really, yeah, just open your eyes to everything, you know, birthdays, funerals, weddings. You know, you saw all that kids fighting at school and bringing their drama back to the homework centre, and different family struggles. You all really got to be a part of it, and the kids really started to trust you and open up to you, and it was all, you know, very good experience. Yeah, I've lost myself a little bit, but thank you very much.
Hey, it's Sally from Marist Youth Ministry. We would love to invite you guys to get real with us this year for your school's experience. We're heading to the Philippines for a 2-week immersion, and we'd love for you to come along. I was searching for an experience of schoolies that was a little bit more real, and I was so lucky to be able to go on a 2-week immersion to the Philippines. That's why I feel super blessed to be able to invite you guys to come along with us and volunteer your time, immerse yourself in Filipino culture, make some awesome lifelong friends, and most importantly, have a fun family experience. Society today are expecting you guys to have an experience of schoolies that is all about yourself. But I know that when we focus on serving others, it is so much more life-giving. In a country like the Philippines that's so vibrantly full of life and culture, unfortunately there's a large percentage of the population that live a much harder life than we do. In particular, some of the street kids there live some of the roughest lives in some of the roughest cities in the world. So that's why I invite you to get real with schoolies. Hit us up on Facebook or jump on our website, and we can't wait to see you at school.
Really like what Sally said about getting real and making it about someone else other than yourself, and so that's what we're doing in faith formation at this college, and it's very exciting that that can continue after school, like Max and the others who've gone and done these immersions. So